going back to like the difference in tissue, the balance of tissue types, in the rootlets it's going to be more skin. And in the skin there's going to be more of the essential oil, and so in the essential oil is the thing that's actually has antiplatelet aggregation function, and essentially that's they activate the blood function. So that's what's happening with the tails, right? They're like, use Dongui Wei when you want more blood activating function, use Dongui Shen when you want more blood nourishing function. And so that would be the idea to me. And then you're like, well, in this thing it's not necessarily essential oil, and then we have phenylpropanoids, which is an aromatic thing which gives it some of its aroma, but a lot of the function here is just like the latex, the tungstenozoid, the sugar-containing constituent. So a lot of it's not really the skin thing, so it doesn't differentiate that way. Although God knows, you know, if you use really fine rootlets, maybe it would be a little bit different, you know. But no one's doing that yet. And yeah, and you look at something like Dongui, when it has that, very different thing, right? Like the idea of building the blood versus trying to make the blood run very fluidly, you know? Like you wouldn't think they're synonymous, and that becomes an interesting subject when you actually move through the Apiaceae family and you move from Dongui, Angelica sinensis, to Ligusticum chuanxiang, which is like not really a blood tonic, but it's for blood stasis. And it's primarily the same constituents, it's the same family, same gene, not same genus, but it's like Ligusticum chuanxiang looks a lot like Angelica sinensis. They're both Apiaceae family members. They have very similar constituents, but chuanxiang is just activating the blood. Dongui is nourishing the blood and activating the blood. And then you get to something like Baizhi and Duo, Angelica dehurica and Angelica pubescens, and they don't have like really any tonic function at all. And it's not really even on blood level. It's like moving, well, phlegm or transforming dampness, and it's a lot more of the pungency. So you move from like aromatic things to move and pungent, mobilizing, to then having the sweet flavor constituent, which is actually the tonifying constituent. In Angelica's case, in Donggui's case, it's tonifying at the blood level. And here we're talking about fluid level or qi level. And there's something about that aromatic compound, particularly like the ferulic acid, which is kind of giving it tropism toward the blood level. And here we don't have a lot of aromatic pungency, and there's really no tropism to the blood level.
What gave it the tropism to the blood level?
I would say like the pungent stuff, like the ferulic acid and some of these things. Because blood, in a way, it's different properties than fluid, because blood needs to be warm, and blood has to actually... Anyway, stop that whole conversation.
No, these are all...
The interesting thing is here, like what I just read, and I read the therapeutic functions, and it was saying that Dongshen nourishes the blood and generates body fluids, and it's like that's not really a traditional indication. The use of Dongshen to generate blood is something that comes out of its modern usage as a tonic, and using it in the treatment of cancer patients, and realizing that using Dongshen actually stimulates hematopoiesis and the generation of red blood cells. But typically it's not really, it's only come to that realization recently as a product of, I would say, pharmaceutical or pharmacological research as opposed to traditional indications, because traditionally we see this a kind of a difference in Chinese medicine between medicinals that work on the blood, the red, the shui or the wei, shui being blood and wei being wei qi, which is actually traveling in the blood or is a product of a function that moves out of the blood, and then ying, and ying is like the white part, white fluids, or it's the non-serous part of the blood, the albumin, and it's a little different. But now we're having this crossover happening and saying that Dongshen actually tonifies the blood, and so it screws up my whole story. But I mean, you know, part of it is that thing, and then you get to this other idea that that we send the nutritive chi from the stomach up to the lungs, and then when it mixes with the respiration, then it creates blood, and the blood is formed in the heart. And this is not necessarily pure physiology, but this is this idea. So typically, in order to generate blood, we need spleen tonics and blood tonics, because we need the spleen to kind of transform things and give the potentiality to create this thing. And then we probably also, we'll also need something that's more like a blood tonic. Yeah, and one of the really popular formulas that speaks to this idea is called, one is called Sichuan Dabutang. Sichuan Dabutang is the 10-ingredient, all-inclusive tonifying formula. And on one hand, you have Sejunzi Tong, and Sejunzi Tong is the 4 Nubble decoctions, and it's licorice root, and Atractyloides, and ginseng, and Poria cocos mushroom. And on the other hand, we have Suwu Tong, the 4 substances decoction. And so the 4 noblemen's a Qi decoction, Qi tonifying, and Qi tonifying typified by Renshen, and then supported with Atractyloides and licorice root and Poria cocos mushroom. And then this 4 substances decoction is a blood tonic formula, and its major ingredient is Rehmannia glutinosa and Angelica sinensis, the Dongwei, and then the Liguscum Chuanchong and the peony root. And then when you put those 2 together, you get the all-encompassing Sichuan Dabutang with 4 for the qi, 4 for the blood, plus astragalus and cinnamon. And then going back away from that, we have a thing called Dongwei Bushui Tong, which is Dongwei to nourish the blood decoction, and it's Dongwei and astragalus. And in a way, Dongwei is the red tonifying thing, and astragalus is the white tonifying thing. And when we tonify the red and white, we tonify the serous and the red and the white portion of the blood, and we actually tonify the blood very effectively. And so this is kind of this general idea of like, this is to tonify the white, the nutritive, and then ideally we'd have something to tonify the shui, the blood, and in this case maybe like Angelica sinensis would be a good, probably the best thing out in the garden for that, you know. Does anybody want to talk about the flavor? Like, how does it taste?
Let's talk about that. On the,
Yeah, it has that weird, that stereotypical character. It's like peanutty or something, or
that's a good, yes, nutty.
Peanutty, I just feel so nourished.
It does.
Deeply.
It feels like it just so
the interesting thing is, like, my old boss, her favorite thing for nourishing blood was peanuts.
Oh.
So you need to get the Spanish peanuts with like the red coat, like the red.
The little,
Still on. You know.
And why? I mean,
What was it about peanuts?
yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, the correlation I was just drawing is the peanut flavor there, and the fact that supposedly this tonifies, that we know this tonifies the blood. So maybe the constituent that's causing that flavor is the constituent that's in the peanut, or something like that, something along those
It does
lines,
have a
you
little
know.
nutty, peanutty flavor.
Yeah.
Really good. It does, although this is supposed to be the more tonifying.
Yeah.
I thought the second one was more moistening. It felt moister in my mouth. It had a moister mouthfeel.
But
Yeah.
and that one, we kind of had the information on different related variety on that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was the Shoshen.
I think that, like, I mean, the interesting thing is, I mean, they all change a lot when they're drying, but I'm most familiar with this Cotonopsis. And because we have the dried, and so when we taste the dry, it is a bit different, right?
Oh yeah,
It's sweeter.
it's absolutely
Yeah.
different. It's much
And it doesn't, and the peanut flavor is
Yeah.
as dominant. And there's some other thing in here too that I know it's gotten like 20 degrees hotter. Or
Well,
something.
yeah, the sun shined right on you, and
I know, I'm melting.
I'm loving it now.
Loving it. We found
We
plant
spend a lot of
connection.
time in greenhouses, so this is
Oh,
home.
so this is
It's homey.
Feels good. It's getting sweaty.
Actually, my office is in a greenhouse.
Oh, this is so great.
All right, well.
I'm so happy.